All right, folks, gather round for your economics education. Today's lesson is for those of you who think price controls are a great idea. I know, it's harmless, right? Just set the prices lower and boom, problem solved. We can all go back to binging Netflix and wondering why our avocado toast isn't Instagram worthy anymore. Spoiler alert, that's not how reality works. But let's dive into the genius of this new plan. I call it Kamala's supermarket master plan, because apparently someone missed history class. Let's break this down for all you aspiring central planners out there. So, let's say we tell grocery stores, hey, you greedy capitalists, stop charging so much for milk and eggs. Well, you see, grocery stores operate on razor-thin margins, 1.6% in 2023. That's not a typo, by the way. These guys are barely keeping the lights on. But yeah, let's tell them to lower prices and see what happens. Because clearly, Kamala and her economic geniuses think that's going to fix everything. Brilliant. But wait. In order for the stores to lower prices, they need to get goods cheaper from distributors. And for distributors to lower their prices, guess what? They need manufacturers to do the same. And you know what that means. Drum roll, please. The manufacturers need raw materials cheaper. So, who's at the end of this chain? Farmers. Good old farmers who, according to the enlightened minds in charge, should just magically reduce the price of their crops. Never mind the fact that they're working with 11.3% profit margins. Nope, not a problem. I mean, who needs profits when you can just feed the country out of sheer goodwill and patriotism, right? Except, oh yeah, farmers have costs. Land taxes, fuel, water, labor. You think they can cut those too? Spoiler alert, they can't. And when farmers can't lower their costs, they can't buy new equipment. So what happens? Well, the industrial manufacturing sector takes a nosedive because, guess what? No one's buying tractors or harvesters anymore. So now we've got collapsing farms and a manufacturing crisis. But don't worry, folks. Kamala's got it all under control. Just keep those prices low. What could go wrong? Let's look at what happens next. Farmers, in their infinite wisdom, will say, well, since I can't make any money on wheat, I'll just switch to something more profitable, like kale. Yeah, everyone loves kale, right? And suddenly your grocery store looks like it's run by a vegan Instagram influencer, only kale, quinoa, and sadness. The quality of food? Out the window. Selection? Non-existent. And what's next? Scarcity. Yes, folks, we're back to standing in bread lines like it's the good old days of the Soviet Union or Venezuela. But this time it's going to work because, we have hashtags? Sure. And here's where it gets really fun. Nationalized agriculture. That's right. After the entire farming sector collapses, the government swoops in to save the day, takes over the farms, and before you know it, we're all standing in line for government-issued tofu. Delicious. Now, let's rewind a little bit because this insane scheme isn't exactly new. Nope. In fact, one of your favorite American heroes, the one and only Richard Nixon, tried this back in 1971. Yes, good old Tricky Dick had the brilliant idea to impose wage and price controls to battle inflation. How'd that go? Oh, you know, disastrous, just like his attempt to end the gold standard. Ending the gold standard? I mean, if Nixon was a boxer, the entire 1970s economy would have thrown in the towel. Now, I know some of you are thinking, but Dave, Nixon was a visionary. Yeah, a visionary in the same way that a guy jumping off a cliff is technically envisioning the bottom. He just didn't think about the landing. Nixon thought, hey, let's disconnect money from anything of real value and just print more of it. What could go wrong? Oh, and guess why things cost more today? It's because the government is printing money like there's no tomorrow. Inflation isn't caused by greedy corporations or your local grocery store trying to survive. It's caused by politicians who couldn't cut a budget if their lives depended on it. Inflation is an inside job, folks. This is why I'm a Bitcoin maxi. You think Satoshi Nakamoto is sitting around printing Bitcoin like it's monopoly money? No. Bitcoin is hard money, it's real money, and it's the antidote to all this central planning lunacy. Kamala and Nixon can try to play God with the economy, but they can't print more Bitcoin. And that's why you should never, I repeat, never sell your Bitcoin. So next time someone tells you price controls are harmless, just remember, that's the same genius thinking that gave us Richard Nixon's price controls and the end of the gold standard. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got to go check on my decentralized farm. You know, the one that isn't collapsing under government intervention.